In the sleepy town of Blackthorn, where the streets were lined with ancient oaks and the air smelled of damp earth, there stood an old, rusty mailbox at the end of a forgotten lane. It wasn't like any other mailbox in town. This one had no address, no name, just a single word etched into the lid: hunger. People whispered that if you mailed a letter to someone you hated, something terrible would happen to them. At first, no one believed it. It was just a silly rumor, a ghost story told to scare children into behaving. But then, things started to change. The first to vanish was Mrs. Harlow, the town gossip. She had been feuding with her neighbor, Mr. Finch, for years. One day, Mr. Finch found an old letter he had written to her in a fit of rage, detailing all the ways he wished her harm. He had never sent it, but on a whim, he dropped it into the mailbox on Blackthorn Lane. The next morning, Mrs. Harlow was gone. Her house was empty, her car still parked in the driveway, her dinner still warm on the stove. The only clue was a faint, gnawing sound coming from the direction of the woods, a sound that growled like a beast. Soon, others began to use the mailbox. A jealous wife sent a letter to her cheating husband, and the next day, he was found catatonic in his office, his eyes wide with terror, muttering about shadows that wouldn't leave him alone. A bullied teenager mailed a letter to his tormentor, and within hours, the tormentor disappeared, leaving behind only a trail of blood and a single word carved into the ground: thirsty. The townsfolk realized too late that the mailbox was not a prank. It was a portal to something ancient and malevolent, something that fed on hatred and fear. The letters didn't just curse the people they were sent to, they summoned a presence that consumed their memories, their joy, and eventually their souls. One stormy night, a young woman named Clara decided to investigate. She had always been curious, and the disappearances had left the town in a state of silent dread. Armed with a flashlight and a notebook, she approached the mailbox. The word hunger gleamed ominously in the faint light. Clara hesitated, then opened the lid. Inside, she found a single letter addressed to her. Her heart raced as she read the words: "You shouldn't have come here." Before she could run, a hand reached out from the darkness and pulled her into the mailbox. She fell through a void, landing in a room filled with glowing letters, each one a manifestation of the hatred and fear people had sent. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and in the center of the room stood a towering figure made of shadows, its mouth a gaping, insatiable void. "Feed me," it growled, its voice echoing in Clara's mind. Clara realized that she was the next meal for the creature, but she refused to give in. Using her knowledge of the letters, she began to read them aloud, pouring out the hatred and fear into the world. The creature howled in pain as the words burned it, but Clara didn't stop. She read until her voice was hoarse, until the letters crumbled to ash, until the creature began to weaken. In a final act of defiance, Clara grabbed the letter addressed to her and stuffed it into the creature's mouth. The void roared, swallowing its own hunger, and Clara fell backward through the mailbox, landing on the wet grass of Blackthorn Lane. The next morning, the mailbox was gone. The townsfolk emerged from their homes, confused but alive. The disappearances stopped, and the strange occurrences faded away. But Clara knew the truth. The creature was still out there, waiting for the next letter, the next person to unleash its hunger. And if you ever find yourself standing in front of a mailbox with no address, just the word hunger etched into the lid, remember this: some secrets are better left unspoken, and some letters are better left unsent. But it's too late for that, isn't it? Because you've already heard the story. And now you're wondering, what if you've already mailed a letter you shouldn't have?